Lions and guests, to begin this session on Camp Quality, I present to you Camp Quality's Executive Director, Jean McDonough.
Thank you, everyone. It's my pleasure to be here to tell you a little bit about how Camp Quality Michigan has been involved with the Lions over the last 3 or 4 years. It's been a real pleasure to work with a lot of the local Lions, as well as with Chris. And so I'm going to start out telling you a little bit about what Camp Quality Michigan is. So let's start out a little bit with pediatric cancer. It's not a topic that people like to talk much about because it's very sad. And I can pretty much guess that most people that are on this call either know of someone, a neighbor, a coworker, a relative, or somebody that has been affected by cancer, but pediatric cancer really hits to the heart for most people. As you can see on this graph, I'm not going to go into all the different types of cancer, but it does show you that there are a multitude of different cancers that children can get. And the problem with this is that there are so many, and really in the big population of people that contract cancer, the research and development is just not available to be able to put the money into trying to cure all of these individual types. And so Camp Quality Michigan or Camp Quality USA really isn't in the job of attempting to cure cancer, but our role is more facilitating the camper and their families and things that we can do for them. So a little bit about the statistics. Every year, about 14,000 children in the United States are diagnosed with cancer, which are a lot of kids. So about 1 in every 285 children are affected by some type of cancer. And since the 1970s, the rate of cancer has increased about 24%, which is very drastic. It's also the leading cause of death by disease in children under the age of 15. And like I said, there's not just one cancer. There are a multitude of different, 12 major and about 100 subtypes of cancer, which makes it very difficult to treat. And then the average age of a child that's diagnosed with cancer is around age 6. So some younger and some older. There we go. So in Michigan, so we'll focus down to Michigan a little bit, about 470 children are diagnosed with cancer every year. And Michigan is the 5th highest, we have the 5th highest cancer rate in the United States. And interestingly enough, the county of Marquette in the UP has the highest incidence per capita of pediatric cancer in the state of Michigan. So I thought that was pretty significant in our talk today. About every 3 minutes, a child will be diagnosed with cancer. And the good news is, because there is some good news, about 84% of all children who are diagnosed with cancer actually do survive beyond the 5 years. The other part that we look at as Camp Quality Michigan is that with all of these children that are being diagnosed and then survive, we have a huge proportion of children now in the United States that are survivors of childhood cancer, but along with that come a lot of long-term complications. They may have physical issues or psychological issues. When a child is diagnosed, their entire family is affected by this. So it's not just a child diagnosis, it's a family diagnosis. And this causes a lot of families, upwards of 50%, to actually file bankruptcy. And then these children will have these long-term complications, which then the families have to support sometimes for the rest of their lives, depending on what kind of complications they have. So a little history about Camp Quality. We're actually an international organization. The organization was started by a pediatric oncologist out of Australia. And she started treating children in the 80s, and she realized that, there was not a lot she could do about the quantity or, curing the children of cancer. But what she did know is there was something she could do about the quality of a child's life, and hence the name Camp Quality was developed. So in the United States, our first camp came over to Northwest Missouri in 1986. And then in 1987, Camp Quality Michigan, our North Camp, which was originally in Boyne City, was actually the second camp in the United States. We not only provide summer camps for children and their families, but we also have family camps and other activities that I'll talk about in a short moment. And we currently have camps in 13 states. So these are our activities that we have currently. We have a teen camp that we hold on Beaver Island. We have a sibling camp that was new in 2019, and because of COVID, we've only had one session. But we started that camp at your Bear Lake Camp in Lapeer, Michigan, which is a beautiful facility. We have a South Camp that's held at Camp Cotonicock in Fenton, Michigan. And this year we will be holding our North Camp as well at the Lions Bear Lake Camp in Lapeer, Michigan. And we're excited to talk about our new camp that's going to be starting in the UP, which Chris will talk a little bit more about later on, and a family camp that we're going to be holding in April in UP at Bay Cliff Health Camp, which is also a beautiful facility. We also provide services, just activities throughout the year, such as Tiger Game Day, where the Detroit Tigers donate tickets for us, and we provide them to our families, our children and their families. We have a fun run in September in Flushing, Michigan, where it's actually a marathon qualifying race, but we also have the kids can come and they can walk or run or just play. It's just a fun time for our families. We also have a fall family weekend in Frankenmuth, where we invite about 25 families to come and participate with their children and their immediate families. And then we have a reunion day once a year, where we invite all the families as well as all of our volunteers to have just a fun afternoon together with lunch and activities. And then we do a winter weekend, which will be happening next weekend at Otsego Club in Gaylord, Michigan, where we invite another 25 families to come and do skiing and just have some fun time with their families. So our mission is to provide services for children with cancer and their families with year-round programming, experiences, and companionship at no cost. And that's what I want to stress right now. We do not charge anything for any of our activities. We promote hope and inspiration while we foster life skills with these children. So it's not just to come and jump on the bounce house at Camp Quality, but we try to help these kids with some life skills and really help them to see their self-worth and develop their full potential. These are just some pictures. There's 3 slides here, and I just want to show you these pictures because a picture, shows 1,000 words, and these just capture some of the activities and some of the things that we can do at camp. And you can see the smiles not only on our campers' faces, but on our volunteer faces. That these kids just bring such joy, and they're so hopeful and they're so happy. And when you volunteer at Camp Quality, you can't help but smile with these kids because you get a lot more out of it than you think you would. So those are just some photos of our camps. So we are an intentional camp. So we want these kids to come to camp and then come away with some skills and some things that they've learned at camp. We try to make it a very nurturing environment so that they feel welcomed and they feel like they're part of a community. A lot of these kids feel very ostracized and don't feel like they're welcomed at school because they're losing hair or they're in and out of school all the time, or they start to look frail or sickly. And so this gives them an environment where everybody's the same and nobody stands out. We always encourage them to participate and try some new experiences. We have kids that come to camp. We had a young lady that had a brain tumor and had never ridden a bike, and she was about 13 years old. And so Camp Quality purchased a tricycle bike for her so that she could then participate in bike riding activities with the rest of the kids, so she didn't feel like she stood out from the rest of the kids. We encourage them always to explore new relationships with other campers and volunteers and staff so that they can see that they're not alone, that there are other people out there that are going through the exact same things that they are. And of course, always we take these kids and we help them to, really improve their self-confidence and show them that they can do things that they didn't think they could do before. And of course, we can't do any of this without volunteers. Volunteers are at the core of, our needs for Camp Quality. Our camp companions, we don't call them counselors, we call them companions, come from all walks of life. We pride ourselves in the fact that our campers all have a 1-to-1 ratio, camper to companion. A staff member is with them the entire week of camp. They're our eyes and our ears. They get to know these kids. They can let us know if things are not going well physically or emotionally, and they're just a real good support person for these kids. Our camp companions, year after year, when we ask them what's your favorite part of camp, and they can't even come up with a specific thing, but they always say that what they get out of camp absolutely exceeds what they gave to camp. We also encourage year-round relationships so that our companions and our campers, the families get to know them and they feel comfortable with them and they feel comfortable sending their children to camp because they know the people that they're with. And then we also, because our kids are high risk, we also maintain high quality medical staff. We have 3 nurses on staff at all times at all of our camps. And we have either a physician on staff or a physician that is available by phone 24/7. So this just shows you a picture of how we match our campers and our companions. The gentleman his name is Jim. He is actually a volunteer that started with Camp Quality in our original camp. Jim was a survivor of bone cancer as a child, and Jim went on to become one of our camp directors for several years. And he was matched with AJ, who was one of our campers from Camp Quality in Boyne City. And AJ is now grown and a successful adult, but it just shows you that we take our volunteers and our campers together and we match them with like issues so that they can really relate with each other and really help. Jim helped AJ immensely and they're still friends to this day. So just a little bit about how our campers are. So that kind of rolls into, from volunteerism, we now go to the other need that we have, which is a financial need. So I'm going to turn that over to Amy, who's going to talk to you a little bit about that.
Thanks, Jean, so much. Pre-pandemic, we were meeting with many of your Lions clubs around the state, and I was really pleased and delighted to meet a lot of you. You guys have great hearts for the kind of service that you do, and I just really appreciate how much you've embraced this childhood cancer charity. We're just so impressed with all that you do. We've been around for 35 years. What we're doing makes sense. It helps families, it helps communities. We're completely supported by contributions by individuals, corporations, service organizations, and foundations. So if you know of any connections to anybody like that, we would always love to hear about that. We hope that you will individually give and your clubs will continue to give, because you guys have become a really important component of our fundraising, that we don't want to understate that in any way, shape, or form. Jean mentioned that we're free year-round. A lot of that reason is because exactly what Jean said earlier in the presentation. Cancer is hard financially on families, and it's incredibly hard for families because it adds a lot of extra stress if they were feeling financial strain anyway. So we never want to turn a child away or a family away because they couldn't pay for something. So that's why we are committed to making sure that everything we do for families is free. And just so you have a general idea, it costs about $2,500 a year for a family, meaning all the activities and all that for kids to participate in our activities. So, we're always striving to help raise that amount for each and every child and for the program in general. So, thanks. So here's some really great ways that Lions clubs could help us. And I'm going to give you more specific ways because I feel like we have reached a point with Lions clubs where you're starting to really get us. You know what we're doing, you know it's important. And we have some specific ideas if anything makes your heart sing and you say, that's what our club wants to do, or that's what I as an individual want to do. As Jean mentioned, we always need volunteers. So if this has spoken to you in any way and you think you could help in those ways, we'd love to hear from you about that. We're very interested in having Lions clubs hold fundraisers for us. In a minute, you're going to hear from Chris, who's just done an amazing job in the UP, helping us to get a camp launched up there under very trying times with COVID. But we have some very specific things that we're hoping Lions clubs might be able to help us with. We're interested in partnering with somebody on a golf outing. So if any of you are golfers or you are near a golf course in your community and you know that that could be successful, we'd love to hear from you. We're also interested in holding a raffle, either statewide or in a populated community. If you as an individual know somebody who does home sales of some sort, those always have fundraising components, and that's something an individual could do, is host a party to sell something that people need and want. as a fundraiser for Camp Quality. And we'd be happy to promote your fundraiser and help you to make that happen. We had a lion, you probably all saw this, who at the beginning of the pandemic's hair was particularly long, and he decided not to cut it for, I think, a whole year. And raised over $3,000 just by promoting his long hair growth, his big bushy beard, and then did a Facebook Live and shaved that all off. It was really fun to participate in it and watch all that hair come off. But those are kind of some fun things that people could do. And there may be other things like that that might be interesting to you guys. I know you guys are known for your pancake dinner or your pancake breakfasts and dinners. And we'd always be thrilled to be part of something like that. We're having some success with online auctioning with folks. So if that's something that interests you, we'd be really interested in that as well. And then every year we are lucky enough to participate in the Rock Community Challenge, which is a challenge done by rock companies. And we would always love a Lions liaison for that project in particular. It takes place in August every year, and we'd help set everything up for you, get you all the information that you need. And then there's other things that people could do too. If you're part of a smaller Lions Club or you have members who are interested in certain things, there's things like we would love to be able to provide our campers with like a fun, funky pillowcase like every year for camp, or some of our clubs will make welcome packs for the kids at camp. So if you're in one of the communities that Jean mentioned and would like to come out, this year won't be a possibility because of COVID, but we're hoping by 2023, we could have people at our camps doing those kinds of things, like an activity with kids for a couple hours, or having welcome packs, welcoming the families there, that kind of thing. So there's lots and lots of things that people could do to help Camp Quality along the way. Just so you all know, September is National Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month. So September is a great tie-in to that. Some people know about that, and it can be a good promotion in your community if you want to do something during that month because of the national emphasis on childhood cancer. Another thing I always make sure to mention to Lions Clubs is you may know a kid in your community who has cancer and doesn't know about Camp Quality. We really want you to encourage that family and that kid to know about what we're doing, why we're doing it, and we'd love to have them be part of our program. So if you do know a family like that, please feel free to connect that family with us. That would be great. A lot of you guys do this, and we really appreciate it. We'd love to be part of your club's philanthropy programs. And then there are occasions where we need certain things for camp, or like the pillowcases would be a good example, or welcome packs. We thrilled to have you hold a needs drive for us. So like something that will be used at camp, but isn't necessarily monetary. So hopefully that gives you some ideas of how your particular Lions Club or you as an individual could help us. And we'd love to hear additional ideas that you guys have. I've been inspired by some of the conversations already this morning on some of the innovative things that your clubs are doing. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our dear friend, Chris, who is a Lion in the UP and has done some amazing things for us up there. So Chris, are you ready?
I am ready.
Great.
What I'd like to start with, actually, I was asked to talk about how this collaboration came about between the Upper Peninsula Lions and Camp Quality and Bay Cliff Health Camp. As was said, we are supporting Camp Quality, and this just is a perfect place to have a camp in the Upper Peninsula. Jean was lucky enough to go to an open house at Bay Cliff Health Camp, and I know she was as impressed as I was with the beauty, the nature. You are right on Lake Superior. You are 27 miles northwest of Marquette. And so with that said, with our aligning missions of wanting to help families with cancer and kids with blood disorders and with children who have disabilities, as Bay Cliff has for 88 years, we decided this would be a great match. And the Lions in Bay Cliff have a long history. The Lions were supporters of Bay Cliff from 1935, when a physician and a nurse purchased an old dairy farm and turned it into a place where kids with disabilities and special needs could go and get therapy and go to camp. So what I'd like to do is point you out to the map here, because with this great program happening, we decided we've got to find a need. We have to identify a need. So with that said, this map is done per counties. You can see where identified UP families are with kids with diagnoses of cancer. And this is just people that we know of. And I've also put together there an estimate of miles that our families have to travel because they need to go to St. Vincent's or Children's of Milwaukee or Mott Hospital or DeVos. And what we did is we were in contact with the social workers, since they know most about what challenges our families have to go through. And so, being very, very confidential, families are reaching out to us. And I want to go back to our first presenters, because interestingly enough, we have a website called uplionsserve.org, where now what's happening is families are now sharing our information. And so it is by word of mouth, but it's also by social media, and it's also by Facebook, because you can see that you can also contact us through Facebook or through Instagram. So, and also there is a QR code at the bottom of our Facebook page where you can make donations. And we use donation box, because it's not only for childhood cancer, but for diabetes and for hunger and our other global causes. But with that said, maybe now we can end up with the UP Camp Flyer. We are so proud. We've been at this for over 3 years, because COVID did stop us the first 2 tries. But this UP Family Fun Weekend is set up at Bay Cliff. Bay Cliff Executive Clearlution has made it so that social distancing will be no problem for our families. This is open to not only families in the Upper Peninsula, right, Jean and Amy? You can, pitch in here, I mean, if you want. And it's not only people living in the Upper Peninsula, it's families in Michigan or whoever wants to travel. And you can go right online to the QR code and register for camp there. And we are very excited. Thank you for your time, and we're hoping that this becomes a regional camp. And I'm hoping Jean agrees.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. If you could flip to our last slide. I just want to point out that this is how you contact us. So if you have a child in particular that would like to, or families that would like to check us out, our campsite or campqualityusa.org/MI will take you right to our webpage, where you'll get all the information regarding our camps that are available, UP, Southern Michigan, our family camps, as well as how to sign up as a volunteer. So we do a pretty thorough vetting of our volunteers. And so, you can get on there and sign up for that. You can always contact us through the my office at campqualityusa.org if you have a question, or our phone number to Boyne City, where I have a full-time administrative assistant there that can answer your questions as well. So, we're totally reachable. I just want to thank Chris and all of the Lions for their just continued support of Camp Quality Michigan. We could not do this without organizations such as yourself. Our largest fundraiser that we do for Camp Quality Michigan is Boyne Thunder, which I don't know, some of you may have heard of, but the Lions actually cook our lunch for us and serve lunch to about 500 boaters in Charlevoix when they stop for lunch. So the Lions are with us every step of the way in everything that we do, and we just appreciate all of your support. And thank you, Amy and Chris, both this morning for helping present.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Jean and Amy and Lion Christine, I'd like to say thank you for a fantastic session on the services of Camp Quality. Here we are through the ability of video technology We go through things that make us sad and tug at our heartstrings to a service that not only tugs at our heartstrings, but makes us feel so proud to be involved with such a service organization like Camp Quality. A positive success story with positive outcomes. Those kind of things are always welcome for us to hear about. And we were going to see about answering some questions. So I'm going to look at what we have here, and I will direct these to Jean. And Jean, if you want to send them elsewhere, you may do that.
Okay.
I'm going to start with question number 1 is Camp Quality only for children that have a cancer diagnosis?
So the answer to that, the short answer is no. They have to have had a diagnosis of cancer or any unusual blood disorder that does not have another camp that they can go to. So like, for instance, hemophilia is a blood disorder, but there are hemophilia camps for those children. So there are some really rare blood disorders, and actually some blood disorders that can actually turn cancerous, that we will take those children at camp as well. So they don't have to currently be in treatment. They can have any sort of a diagnosis, either be in treatment, be in their 5-year follow-up, or can be completely cured as long as they're from ages 4 to 17. And we also, like I said, started a sibling camp at Lions Bear Lake in 2019. And that is for brothers and sisters of children who have ever been diagnosed with cancer. Even if the sibling is deceased, we will still take the siblings. So we will provide services. You know, if you're ever in question as to whether a blood disorder diagnosis would qualify for camp, a simple phone call to our office, and we'll talk through it. And, you know, we don't turn kids away. So if there's something we can do for these kids, we will do it.
Okay. Besides giving a financial donation, is there other things the camp needs?
Amy, I'll let you speak to that.
Sure. As I mentioned, there are things that camp needs. It's good to contact us every year because we do have a team of people who are putting together all the camp activities. So we want to check with them because we do try to shake it up every year and make something different for the kids, like what specific camps will need at certain times. A couple things that we know right now that we would love to have is if there were Lions who wanted to sew fun, funky pillowcases for the kids, that they'd have something fresh and new when they arrive at camp. We'd love that. We already have a group who does blankets for us, but that might be something that people can get in on as well. And also there's a couple like service groups who at specific camps, particularly when they're local, do like welcome packs for the families and things like that. So, but there could be specific things like crafts or activities that could be prepared. We would just want to check in with you and the camp and make sure that there's a match so that you're not wasting your time and they're getting what they need.
All right. The next question I have is, will Camp Quality be at Bear Lake in 2022?
We sure will. We are we're pushing ahead for our live camp this year, finally, to get these kids back. If you go to our website, you will see our COVID guidelines, because we are in the Lions and we follow ACA camp guidelines. So of course our kids are high risk. So we are doing absolutely everything to make these kids safe. We are requiring vaccines of our volunteers and our children this year for our camp, to make sure that they're, you know, as many things that we can do to keep these kids safe. We're going to have camp in what we call this year a bubble. And the bubble means that everybody comes to camp healthy, and then nobody comes or goes during the week of camp, so that we're not reintroducing or introducing any potential, you know, illness, COVID, or any other. So we're a little bit more cautious this year as far as our activities coming from the outside in, but we are going to have camp this year. We are going to be at Bear Lake, and not only is our sibling camp going to be there, but our North Camp is going to be there as well.
Wow. Last question I have, how many children or families are served by Camp Quality each year?
So approximately 170 to 180 families are served each year. Most children will do, most of those children do camp, but then some of those also go to our family camps as well. So we serve about 50 families a year for our family camps. And actually, we're going to have an opportunity this year by another partnership that we've made with Sun RV Resorts, where we're going to be able to provide another 25 families. So we'll be able to provide a family weekend for 75 families this year, which is outstanding. And so that and the kids at all, we have a teen camp, and then we have our 3 regular camps, and then our sibling camp. So through all of that, about 180 campers. And we know there's more. 470 kids are diagnosed every year, so we are not getting them all. And so we need your help as Lions to be out in the community and, sending people to our website or sending people, to call us in the office, so that we can get these kids connected, because we have a great program. And I know Chris can attest to that, and Amy both, because they've both been there. And I'm sure there's several Lions out there that are listening to this that have also been involved with us, either through volunteer or participated in our camps. So we don't have a max, so we'll take the kids as they come.
I was listening to some things and the difference between the UP and coming down to where the trolls live, below the bridge. The question kind of came up, is there travel assistance available for our UP families to get to the family weekend?
Yes, there will be travel assistance for anyone in Michigan. Both Camp Quality and the Lions are willing to reimburse families for travel. So that is something that's available.
You mentioned also that Bay Cliff Health Camp. Where is that located?
Bay Cliff Health Camp is located 27 miles northwest of Marquette. And so I actually live in Engadine, which is 45 miles west of the bridge on US 2. If you can picture that, it would take me 3 hours to get to Bay Cliff. So it's a drive, but if you think about this first family weekend is where, you're starting on a Friday and then you're there all day Saturday and then leaving on Sunday after breakfast. It may be worth the drive. It's absolutely beautiful and it's going to be an outdoor weekend. So I feel it's absolutely worth it. So I hope that answered your question.
Yes, as far
Okay.
as that was, there were some things that I wrote down just because as you were presenting things, I was thinking about some of those.
We'll help with whatever to get people.
I'm sure you will.
Yes.
At this time, we're looking at our time, and it is time for us to put a close on the session. But again, I would like to thank you all for your time and taking us on a journey that we hope to continue with you and making positive outcomes. So I thank all 3 of you for your time and your efforts very much, and look forward to working and serving with you as we go forward.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.